So.
We on? Hello everybody, welcome to LPSA, Living Positive San Antonio. We're going to start tonight like we have every night for the last several weeks since
The super great guy sitting to the left, his name Wayne. Hi, how's everybody doing tonight?
We're doing great. By the way, if you have any questions tonight, just let us know. We'll let you know that our current status is considered moderate, our risk level. It's also true of the schools here. They've lowered that to a moderate risk level. We have had a 2-week decline in cases. Testing capacity is unavailable right now. Contact tracing is safe. Hospital. Our doubling rate is safe. Our positivity rate is steady. And hospital stress is steady. There are, and these are updated numbers, 124 new cases, 257 deaths are under investigation. There are a total of 45,400 cases. There have been 741 confirmed deaths by Metro Health, 458 hospitalized, 209 ICU patients, and 139 patients on ventilators. And we're going to go from that right into our first of tonight is COVID-19, how to keep your kids safe, some of the information we've gotten about schools and COVID. I think we're going to start off with, you have a friend that works with the Comal.
I have two. So I have a friend that's with, I have one friend that is in her 3rd year with Comal Independent School District. I have another friend that is in his 2nd year of teaching. His 1st year is with Alamo Heights High School is where he's at. And some of the things that they're doing, both schools are doing different things, but the same idea. They are doing social distancing, they're doing masks. Now my one friend that's with Comal, her classroom is 5th grade. So it's a little more challenged. They are having actual students in classrooms that are from families of 2 incomes. Those children are actually attending class. She's got 6 in her classroom. She's got 24 that she's doing all together. So the others are virtual. And what she's doing with the ones that are there is what they start doing again, social distancing, practicing, mask. And another thing that I'm sure people have heard, but I thought was still really neat that, that maybe we could use and incorporate for ourselves. So what they're doing is after ever so often when it's time to do a hand wash again, she does a quick Sharpie on the top and on the palm of the hand to show the 20 to 30 seconds. And again, if we know Sharpie, you have to have hot water to get that off.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that they're doing. The school has also done a plexiglass, I don't know what the measurement's on, I'm assuming 3 feet of U around the desk, and they're circling in, and then just a little area, a big circle in the area where she walks into the middle and kind of turns to them and things. She is using one of the new Google products that does the live part, the virtual part to home, and it'll follow in the circle, so it's able to, so what it's able to do is, if she calls upon one of the 4 or 5 students that are in the classroom, she can walk in the circle and it will actually follow her 350 degrees.
Okay.
And so the students at home can see who's answering the question, and there's a little bit of interaction with the rest of the classroom rather than the teacher one-on-one. That's something that she came up with, which I thought was a great idea. And then another teacher, so her sister is a teacher. I did not talk to the sister, just my one friend, Miriam. So the sister is also a school teacher in Houston. Now Houston is completely doing everything from home. The school district that she's in, which I think she's in Sugar Land, I'm not sure. And so what she did to try to make it interesting for her class, she has a 3rd grade class. So she basically kind of moved all the furniture in her house to one side for a little bit. And she has 4 different sections set up in her house. So she actually has a patio that goes on. She has a patio door that goes on to a little area that she has set up as her science area, where they're going to be doing things that third graders would do, like, grow bean seeds and different things like that, and watch them daily, see what they do, and water the guinea pig and feed it, virtually what they do. And she has it broken down into math, reading, and all those different areas. And so she's going through our house. And
Are both of these teachers elementary school teachers or?
5th grade, 3rd grade.
5th grade?
So the one in Houston that's doing the actual 4 areas in her house is 3rd grade. So she's really got, like I said, it's really neat, the few pictures that I could see from her sister, who is my good friend. Like I said, she had her little math area set up, and different things, how that they were going to do measurements and different things like that in her kitchen, so rather than doing your basic measurements on the chalkboard, she was going to introduce and include like measuring cups to show different measurements in that way, doing addition and subtraction and things like that, 2 cups, 1 cup, and she was going to be looking up recipes at that were safe recipes for maybe a 3rd grader or 4th grader to do, maybe in a microwave situation. I think one of them was, there was a mac and cheese type thing where you could take your own pre-cooked macaroni, cheese, a little bit of butter, milk, and make a recipe like that. With things, I did not see what she was doing with geography and reading. I did not really see either, which I thought, the picture of this thought was like, wow, I know that they don't make a lot of money and they're putting a lot of effort into their careers that I hope will pay off down the road, because they will pay off down the road from what they're doing, because it's hard enough to be in a classroom, but to have to redo your whole home like that, and then to buy she had the bomb lighting to do, so that everything was nice and neat.
I know when I was teaching high school, there were a lot of things I had to pay out of my own pocket to provide for students, and you're right, teachers do not get paid very much, and people think, they just go into school. The thing is, no, teachers don't just have to work at school. They take papers home to grade, so they may be working until 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night, grading papers. They are required, in many cases, to go to school functions. What they get paid is very little for the amount of work that they do. And you'll find that especially elementary and junior high teachers actually are more likely to spend their money for extra things for their students.
For activities and things like that to keep them engaged. I don't think what a lot of people realize is there's a difference between 20 years in and 2, 3, and 4 years in, because 2, 3, 4 years in, you're still learning. You may not have an actual specialty with your school district, and you may not be teaching what your actual degree is, and then you get bounced. I've had this happen to a friend already. You get bounced around, and so my other friend that's working for Alamo Heights, just starting with Alamo Heights High School now, he spent his whole summer basically at his parents' house. His father had just passed away, but at the time that he was supposed to be sending with his mother to help with that, he spent a large time on schooling himself in a subject that he could teach. He can do math, but that's just not his area. It was not, for instance, college-bound geometry, which he was going to have to teach. And then, luckily, he started with Alamo Heights, which is a little different. Now he's doing his area. I really like what Alamo Heights is doing. Again, that's a very unique school district, but they've gone all out on they have got the desk again. They have put the plexiglass in a U around them. The chairs do slide back and forth, but what they've done is they've gone to the extent of getting the little, you've probably seen people with walkers where they do the tennis balls so that they don't drag on the floor and scratch them or scuff them or whatever. So the classroom that I was in had 30 chairs and desks in it, and they all had the tennis balls so they could readjust, because what they're going to do is they're going to be able to, the way that his class is doing, is they will be able to adjust accordingly to the classroom. So the students technically may not be required to be in the classroom. They can, they're required to keep up with their homework and things like that and their amount of hours in school. But if a situation arises within the family where a job or something like that, and maybe, someone doesn't, I know I wouldn't be trusted in high school to stay home by myself. you know, that a parent might need to stay home or something like that, an illness or something like that, they're able to adjust these classrooms and move them around and stuff and do different things. And the
You know, you mentioned,
physics classroom was amazing. I have never seen a high school physics lab like what I saw.
you're mentioning how they're setting up their classrooms so that they can teach. During the last pandemic that we had, 1918, and also during the 30s when there was a tuberculosis outbreak, a lot of schools went to what is called open air, and they actually held classes outside because that was a safer way to educate.
So the area that I'm from, South Dakota, the northern part of South Dakota, if you go, I'm right on the North Dakota border, but if you were to travel about 45 minutes to 50 minutes over to Eureka, to that area where they tend to have more, not necessarily Amish, but the cousins of the Amish, the Mennonites, they do all their teaching outside also. They basically have a roof.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they have it broken off into little areas. You've got, the one that I saw, I think was 6 or 7, and you would do different groups with the teachers for the different age levels and things like that.
And that may be a leftover from the 1918.
Don wants to know what you guys are talking about.
We're talking about COVID-19 and how to keep your kids safe since schools are reopening. And we want to talk about how they're setting up to keep your kids safe and things that can be done. We also will be providing you with some information about schools that are reopening.
The unique things that they've done. So I'm fortunate to have a couple of friends that are school teachers. So I've got 2 sisters. I've got one that's working Comal ISD, another one that is outside of Houston, I believe in Sugar Land, and another friend that's just started. He's been teaching, he's just starting with Alamo Heights. And it's 3 really unique things that they are doing. They're really, really going outside of the box. And I don't know, there's a lot of Teacher of the Year awards that need to go out when all this is said and done. Some of the things that I'll rewind back on and just kind of, you might have heard some of the things that they're doing that you can use at home also with nieces and nephews or things like that is one of the teachers, my friend Miriam, the students that she has in her classroom, what they're doing is ever so often when they do a break, like when they do the restroom breaks and whatever breaks they do, so they're really implementing the hand washing and doing hot water. So again, they're doing the Sharpie across the back of both hands and then the palm, and then 20, 30 seconds in the hot water with the soap to get all that marker off shows that, you know, and the scrubbing and in between and all that.
Matter of fact, I'll let y'all know, we have a list here of the schools that are doing in-class and virtual options. Comal started on August 25th, which was yesterday. Edgewood ISD, their virtual classes began on the 17th. Their in-class option, and again, these are, we're saying in-class option because there are going to be parents who have the option to continue their virtual learning, I believe. Those options will begin on October 12th, and that's the Edgewood ISD. East Central ISD, their virtual classes began on the 17th. Their in-class option began September 8th. The Fort Sam Houston ISD, their classes again began on the 17th, and they also have, their virtual classes began on August 17th, and then they have an in-class option that began September 8th. Harlandale, their classes began on the 24th, and they will continue through the 18th. Plans for in-class or continued virtual learning after September 18th are pending. I'm going to see if I can get my computer here to work for me. Keep going. There's the IDEA Public Schools of San Antonio. Their virtual classes began on August 11th. Plans for in-class options could not be found on the district's website at this time. They may, and I have actually heard they may do actually the entire school year in virtual. But we will revisit that later to see if they've changed that. Virtual classes for Jefferson ISD began on the 24th. There are in-class options for September 8th. full in-class options, and that should be limited, by the way, in-class options, beginning September 8th. Full class options will be open to all students beginning September 28th. Lackland ISD, their classes begin on, virtual classes begin on the 17th. Plans for in-class or continued virtual learning are still pending, depending on, I guess, how things are going. Lavernia ISD, they begin on August 19th, and it's not clear from the district's website if their back-to-school model will be virtual or an in-class or a mix at this time. And eventually this thing will live for me, I hope. Marion ISD, their virtual options begin on August 12th. They don't have a in-class option yet. Oh, I'm sorry, no, actually, an in-class and virtual option actually begin on August 12th for them. I apologize. And that's Marion. Do we have some questions? Or do we have a staring contest going here?
I'm trying to hear what Mark is saying to me, but I don't have the right glasses, so I can't read anything on this screen.
Okay, Northeast ISD virtual classes were beginning the 17th, and their in-class option are the 18th. So, let's see, I think that's pretty close to all of them. I'm trying to find San Antonio. And actually, Northside ISD, which their classes began yesterday, but they had a major problem with their Zoom going down. So I'm not sure how well they really had classes. And their in-class option begins on September 8th. San Antonio ISD, their classes begin on the 17th with an in-class option beginning September 8th.
Let's move on to something else. Well, we've had
Yeah.
every school except on the west side.
Yeah.
And we'll just
And
real
there-
quick,
there are
we know
more
it's Central, South San, and similar.
And since you mentioned the Southeast actually had,
Southeast? What about the Southeast?
they had a COVID report on districts, and I guess that's the first. And there are more COVID cases being reported from the schools, but matter of fact, here it is. Southwest reported their schools. There's like 23 out of, I believe, Bernie, I believe is where it was. And about half of those are Bernie and half are
Hold on,
students.
you're confusing me. I'm looking at the Southeast.
Yes, or the Southwest.
Bernie.
Southwest, excuse me. Let's get the right direction here.
Southwest Bernie.
Well, no, I mean,
I'm pretty sure Bernie is north of the city, about
well, no,
17 or 18 miles.
I'm talking about the Southwest ISD. They had their first case reported of COVID.
Okay, I have a question.
And it was a
Hold
staff.
on, Mark wants to throw a
Okay,
question.
I have a question. I'm going to throw it at both of you. How difficult is it? We're getting out of the school subject now. We're going a different direction.
Okay.
How is it difficult for both of you guys are both single to date having HIV?
You know, because I'm not really actively dating, and I haven't in quite a while, and probably since I separated from my ex, I've not really actively dated anyone, and nor have I pursued to date anyone. So I honestly can't answer that. But if there's somebody that I'm interested in, I do let them know my HIV status. And because if something develops beyond a friendship, I want them to have full disclosure about where I stand. What about you? I mean,
So I'm not going to do with the dating thing because being that I don't date either, I mean, I'm just now thinking of even starting to do that. For me, is being that I advocate the way that I do with the Stigma and HIV Alliance and with the Health Resources Planning Council and things like that. So I do a lot of talking to people on the bus and things like that. My neighbors around me, I have no if, ands, or but in a conversation with them the first minute in. You know, I'll ask, well, hey, you know, for instance, my neighbor the other day said, oh, well, you know, there's some resources you could probably go over here for your new baby and get diapers or whatever. And I said, well, ask me what you need. I'm really well connected through the San Antonio AIDS Foundation. So I'm HIV myself. And, you know, and what you can do is there's different services That's how I start out the conversation. And the whole reason I do it is I can tell you within 30 seconds of that, do I need to invest time in it, or do I need to cut the conversation short and go on my way?
Well, that may be one of the reasons why I divulge.
But I'm going to interrupt you. When it comes to the dating thing, I haven't climbed the wall yet, and I don't know how I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Well, that's probably one of the reasons why I divulge it right off the bat is I don't know if this is a person that feels comfortable with my status and if I would want to pursue the possibility of dating them. Because there have been people that I've been interested in who are negative, and I know they're negative, but yet when I bring up the HIV situation, they seem less interested in wanting to date. And so, I mean, I don't actively pursue somebody to date, but when there's somebody that I do have an interest in, I want them to know, again, for the sake of full disclosure, and it gives me an idea of whether their reaction gives me an idea of whether this is somebody I could pursue into a dating situation.
I think my safety net to that is telling a lot of people. I'm very, very open about it. And when I did I've only done one, but many people advocate do many, interviews with different local TV stations when it comes to health and stuff like that. And the first one I did back at the beginning of COVID, being that my care is through UHS, and I did the interview, and it was asking me, what links are you guys taking now in the COVID pandemic? What are you guys doing to ensure your health and things like that? So, being on the 9 o'clock news on the Thursday night was a pretty big, because it flat out said as HIV how long I'd been HIV.
Okay, Vincent asked a question. Does anyone know if there is any data about how many people who are HIV positive people and have COVID-19? What were the symptoms like, and are there any long-term effects being reported?
I don't know about.
So from my understanding, they're looking patients as just being COVID positive. From my understanding with my doctor at UHS, they're not separating anything or that. Now, those of us that may have been COVID positive and get their care through UHS received a grant to do certain testing and things like that with the steroid. So there may be a number that way. Remdesivir, that way.
Yeah.
And I don't know personally if the data is open to the public, but being that I will be at UHS tomorrow, I will ask and find out.
And as far as long-term effects, 2 months ago I was in the hospital with the COVID-19, and I'm still dealing with side effects. I still have issues breathing. There are times when I will just be sitting and I find myself spending 10-15 seconds gasping for air because COVID really did a job on my lungs. Matter of fact, I did get a call from UHS a few days ago wanting to know what side effects I'm having. And the lady at the other end was, let me know that there were people who were having issues with their heart, their lungs, their kidneys, because again, COVID is just like liver. COVID is just like HIV in that it's not just in your blood; it actually invades your organs, and therefore you do have long-term effects from that.
I'm answering something real quick. And so, like for me,
Ernesto was saying here that Carlos had COVID and he was never infected, and they lived together. So it is possible to, I guess, not get infected even though you're in contact with somebody, but it's also possible that you may not think you were infected because you were asymptomatic, because you didn't show any signs or symptoms. So that's something else you'll have to think about is like, just because you're not showing signs doesn't mean you don't have COVID. And it doesn't mean that you can't spread it to somebody else.
I mean, that's how a lot of it's being spread, is because there's so many people that don't. There's a lot of people that don't know. So friends that I have that work in the industry, just here in San Antonio, I have friends that work in the, the mortuary and things like that. I have a friend that does an intake with one of the mortuaries here, and you know, got a backup of cases that don't even have death certificates on it here in Bear County because there is, as morbid it sounds, there are bodies stacked up. You know, at their facility, they could only hold 150, and they've got 400. They've got people doubled and tripled in some of the areas. And
That's why on the city's COVID page, there are 273 cases that's still being investigated. Because they're not ever sure if they were COVID deaths or if they were caused by something else. So they need to find that out. Matter of fact, talk about asymptomatic. I'm going to bring this up real quick. Asymptomatic kids, they carry a higher COVID viral load. And that's another thing. COVID, just like HIV, like you have a viral load with HIV, you can have a viral load with COVID. And kids, that is elementary age kids, can carry a higher COVID load, never show any signs or symptoms than adults who are actually in the ICU. So that shows you the resilience actually of younger kids. The older you get, I guess, the less resilient you get, so the less COVID is going to take to knock you off your butt and put you in the hospital. So,
man, I was going to tell everybody a new testing site too in town, and I can no more tell you where it was. I just drove by it yesterday or the day before. I was like, oh, look, and they're like, COVID testing, and they had, Haven for Hope on Frio has now started theirs up free to the community. It's on Frio, big O sign. It says free COVID testing.
that's actually where I went for the Central Med when I got my test done. So, I believe it's now time for Mr. Mark and Mr. Santiago, and they're going to have a fist fight, I think. They're going to discuss, I believe, when is the best time to tell somebody you're HIV positive. All right, guys.
Take it wrong fan.
Okay, so now I'll make this. You have a one-night stand. You don't feel that you're gonna. He's just gonna be a one-night stand. So do you tell this person, knowing that you've been undetectable for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, do you tell this person your status, that you're positive? So I'm playing the devil's advocate, and I'm gonna go no, because it's not a potential future. So Mr. Hernandez over here,
I feel that you're supposed to tell everybody that you're with sexually. It is basically, I believe it's your duty to do that. People do it because they don't want, they feel, people do it, people that I know, a few people I know, not everybody, a few people I know that I discuss this with, the reason they don't do it is because they're afraid the partner they went to sleep with will reject them. And that's the reason they don't do it, because of the rejection. But I really believe that we all should let everybody know that we're HIV positive, no matter if you get rejected or not. I don't care if you're undetectable or not. I just feel that it's our duty to do that.
so here's where I go with that. If, again, this is a one-night stand. The first thing out of my mouth, especially if I'm even trying to get to know the person, does not need to know that I'm positive. That's not the first thing that should be coming out of my mouth. The first thing that should be coming out of my mouth is him trying to get to know me, and me trying to get to know them as well, and go from there. And if it goes that we're about to have sex, then tell them. If you're going to have a sexual encounter at that time. But again, I don't need my business going everywhere, telling everybody, hey, I'm positive, hey, I'm positive, hey, I'm positive.
If you're talking to someone on Grindr, Browser, I don't care which app it is, and you're discussing hooking up, that is the point where you tell that person that you're HIV positive. Because what's the point of you getting there and you telling that person and that person is going to reject you?
So again, we're bringing up this topic so we can get feedback off of y'all and go from there. So I want to hear from all y'all as well. What do you think? Do you tell your partner your sexual encounter for the night or the potential relationship that you're positive at the beginning, or more when y'all get to know each other? So again, we're waiting for. Oh,
Well, I want to pose the question to y'all that Mark just posed to us. Being HIV positive, does that cause any problems with dating for you guys? Or have y'all had any issues being HIV positive and dating?
It's never been a problem with me because I'm really honest. I tell everybody I tell everybody I'm HIV positive from the beginning when we start talking. It's on my Facebook page. I do not hide it from nobody. I've never been rejected. Even all my partners knew I was HIV positive. And they were glad that I told them straight out. I explained to them that I was undetectable. And there's a few of them did not know what undetectable meant. So, and there we go, looking it up for them to see it. And they learned, and the magic happened. Simple as that. But I know people that will sleep with someone and not say that they're positive, either way. And to me I just feel it is so wrong because I know you're undetectable. I know you cannot give it to someone, but they should still know what's going on. They should still know who you are. I'm not saying HIV makes you, but that's what you have. It's like if you have syphilis, gonorrhea, herpes, it's just you.
Why are you looking at me like that? Sorry, first I wear glasses, so I'm trying to focus on what Vincent said. Right back at you. Ernesto, thank you for being honest. I'm just honest about my overall health, regardless. That's good. That's kudos to you. Again, not everybody's honest. It has nothing about being honest. It's about when is the right time to divulge your information. Again, and I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. The first thing out of my mouth should not be I'm positive. Because I understand what he's saying. It's going to be a turn on or a turn off. How about you get to know me too? Because it's like women when they ask a man, hey, how many kids do you have? Oh, when a man asks a woman, well, how many kids do you have? Well, I got 4 kids. Already, that's a turn off. How about you get to know me and then go from there, like, oh, I do have a couple kids and everything. I do have 4 kids. Again, and this question is not to only the gay men. Again, and I'm going to specify again, this group is open to everybody. Gay, straight, lesbians, transgenders, whatever. So I'm referring to women as well. So, it is good to tell your partner that you are positive. But what I'm saying is, for me, it's not to be divulging my information to it's just gonna be sex. Some people don't even care. They just want the
gratification.
The gratification, yeah, that's a good word. My word would have been different. They just want that. So Vincent sorry, I gotta wear my glasses. Divulging information like your HIV status before you have sex with someone, if they don't accept you for you, then you aren't worth your time. Then they're not worth your time. And that's true. Again, I'm just going with, sometimes people will judge you automatically once they hear you're HIV positive. It doesn't matter that you've been negative or that you've been undetectable 15, 20 years. Because a lot of, and this came up earlier this weekend, that my friend felt that San Antonio is not educated enough when somebody says they're negative. Or when they are undetectable. Because sometimes, people have to explain themselves. And undetectable means this. It was like, well, what does that mean? So it's like, so you have to explain everything, pretty much break it down Barney style, as if they were fifth graders, for them to understand. So
Well,
going
But
back,
do you think breaking it down like that to somebody like their fifth grader, if it's somebody that you really want to know, do you think it's worth doing that?
that's it. It's like, is it worth it? Because if I have to break it down that much to you, now I'm not even enticed by you. Now it's like, I'm trying not to cuss.
See, to me, that it's a chance to educate somebody.
Get to know someone, like you said,
Right.
okay, then why would it be a problem then?
If you're trying to get to, if they're trying to get to know you,
Why would you hop in bed with them on the first day anyway?
it's Grindr. Come on. Look, we're not all saints.
Oh, I'm not.
So
I'm not
so
a saint, but I'm not dating on Grindr. That's not a dating site.
Well, that right.
But
That's a
again,
sex
there's a lot of people that have met on Grindr or something, and now they've been together 5-10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So you're making it sound just because it's that side. Oh no, I can't do that. Oh my God, no.
That is.
But you're pretty much doing
yeah,
that. You know, there's a lot of couples that have met and that have been together.
I mean, there are people that have met on Grindr. There's people that have met on Adam for Adam. There are people that have met on
Exactly.
Scruff. And truly, those are mostly hookup sites. But yet, sometimes you do find what you're looking for just by chance. By chance, a one-time hookup that turns out to be a lifetime commitment.
Exactly. Most of the guys I've dated that I have told, once we're together for a good while, have been on Grindr or whatever. And most of them I've been with, 6 months, a year, whatever. So they knew from the get-go, but we also got to know each other. They told me about themselves, I told them about myself. But again, I go back to, that's not the first thing that's come out of my mouth. Because let's say you go, hey, I'm HIV positive, y'all talk for 30 minutes, and now you find out, you know what, I'm not even interested in this guy anymore. He did something that he smokes, and I just don't like it. Now I'm turned off. But I just divulged my information to somebody that doesn't need any more information. Some people want to be that guy, oh, I'm gay, or I'm HIV positive, but how about, hey, I'm Santiago, I'm about to get to know me first. Before you start judging me because I'm gay or because I'm positive,
You make it sound.
because you make it sound.
You make it sound like everybody.
Slap her.
Sounds like
Slap 'em.
everybody's gonna reject you.
No, trust me. But you make it sound like whatchamacallit. Sorry, I'm watching my video and the feedback. Telling everybody is the first thing. They're not telling you the first thing when they come to meet you. Hey,
I don't. Okay, you make it sound like, hey, I'm HIV positive. Oh, by the way, I'm Mark. It doesn't work that way. When I start talking to someone online, on Grindr or God knows where, on Facebook, it's the conversation starts. Who are you? How you doing? Blah blah blah, and they will ask about you. And 100% of the time, they're gonna ask who you are, what basically about you. That's when it comes out. I tell them I'm HIV positive, this and that, straight up.
And, I'm going to jump in here from this side, guys. The first thing, from my little experience, it also starts coming out. Do you bareback?
Yeah, Richard.
Maybe I do, maybe I don't. Do you use condoms? And I was referring to that because of Richard De Leon asking about condom use. Like, why don't we have the conversation about condoms?
Okay, I'm sorry. I was in a. Shit, I'm thinking this is my freaking tablet. Oh shit! What did it say? Oh shit! Can't get this down. No, you can't. Hold on. Let me see.
Right, John.
It was a good. It was. David puts in. I tell people I'm on remission. That most people understand what remission is, and that's a good. I've never thought about that, about saying, hey, I'm on remission, but even then.
In a way, being undetectable is kind of a stage of remission.
Right.
So,
Do you use condoms?
Am I barebacking?
Yes.
Or am I just having sex?
Simple as that. Do you use condoms?
It depends. It depends on who I'm having sex with. Is it a one night stand? Is this guy that I've been talking to for a while? You know, have I been talking for back and forth the
Okay,
past
you're one night
month?
stand, so you use condoms.
It depends on the guy.
Now, I actually see where he's coming from with that because if I'm going to use a condom, I want that person to feel comfortable when we're having sex. If they feel comfortable using a condom, we use it. If they're fine without the condom, we won't.
So you're telling me every encounter that you've had, you wear a condom? Even
No.
though they tell you,
No.
Okay.
So,
okay.
I was just asking a simple question. Do
Oh,
you-
no, that's fine. I just don't like it that you turn on to what, making me say yes or no. Because if I say no, that makes me look like a certain person. But that's why I'm asking you.
No, I
as
believe,
well.
I believe that not everybody uses condoms. Yes, there's a handful of people out there that do use condoms all the time. But there are situations that you don't, like you said. It does happen.
Hold up. Ernesto, we're not talking about COVID. We're actually talking about HIV, being HIV positive.
They're just having a conversation between two
Okay.
people. It's between him and another person that they're just messaging each other. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump in not defense, but on Mark's side. I think what Mark is saying, this is going to just rewind a second. I think what Mark is saying is it's not, hi, I'm Mark, I'm HIV positive, but in that conversation is going to be, so I like this, I top, I bottom, and that conversation is going to start building, and then within that building of that conversation, that's where, oh, they don't see me. That's, I'm pointing at Mark saying, questioning, is that where you then bring in that conversation? This is also my status and disclosure, do your disclosure
With me,
then.
it's because if I feel, this is how I feel. If I let them know I'm HIV positive, they're more comfortable at telling me if they have something. Because I was open. Because if you go to someone and if they tell you, just like you said, if you go to someone to their house and you tell them you're HIV positive there and they reject you, you walk away.
Right.
What happens is the tables turn. You go to someone's house and they tell you to have syphilis, gonorrhea, or herpes. What would you do?
That's a good point. Not that many people actually tell you that they
But
have it. Again,
what
this is San
happens-
Antonio.
It's like a lot of people tell you like you're HIV.
So
You got
in
him
with,
choked up, Mark?
in with what Mark is saying about the different STIs and stuff along with that, and this is to kind of answer something that Richard's asking about, what are happened to just using condoms? So there is a very controversial campaign going on last year into this year in San Francisco called Do It Raw. And what Do It Raw is talking about bareback. Barebacking is okay. Get people that are not HIV positive on PrEP. Those that are HIV positive, get them undetectable, have them know their status. Now, are STIs still there and happening? Yes. Has the overall HIV infection in San Francisco come down? Yes. They're the lowest in the United States right now, followed by New York, who is doing a similar controversial campaign.
Now I have a question about that. Is the STIs harder to treat though once they get them because they are HIV positive?
Well, it also depends what kind of STI.
I mean,
you get.
syphilis, gonorrhea it depends on you. I've had one STI outside of HIV, syphilis. I'll never do it again because when you get that thing stuck in you and you have to walk back home with it and all the time, no. But some people are like, woohoo, going back to the clinic this week. I was there 2 weeks ago, whatever, and are doing that. Here's the fear of that though. There is a form of gonorrhea that is going through Europe that is very predominant in the leather scene in Germany, in Berlin, that is killing gay men because it has gotten to where it's non-treatable because it has mutated so many times.
Richard put on there, at one time we just used protection because we assumed that our partner was positive. Now there is an issue of undetectable, untransmittable. That applies to that condoms are optional. And pretty much, that's pretty much what it's saying.
Yeah, so that's where we went into the raw.
Right.
That campaign
I'm
was
just
was answering Richard.
Yeah, Andrew Richard. As far as Vincent, hold up.
So Vincent is saying, being in healthcare, I've noticed people or slash patients are less likely to be honest about having STIs other than HIV. People would say, "Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you I had that."
You know what? And that's another thing. Now that you mentioned that, I've told people, "Hey, I'm positive," and then what will come out of their mouth next? "Yeah, I am too. I was about to tell you." I'm like, so you have to wait for me to tell you that I was positive, that I've been undetectable for 3 years, positive for 3 years as well, and then they'll tell you. But as I talked to one of my pharmacists, he's a doctor, and he was telling me, even if y'all both decide to bear back, you still have to worry about the meds, because his regimen might be different. So if I'm taking, let's say, Biktarvy, and he's taking Biktarvy, that's fine. But if I'm taking Biktarvy and he's taking, no, if he's taking 2 regimens, meaning he has to take pills in the morning and then he has to take more pills at night, then there's an issue. Meaning there's more to.
He has another strand.
He has a stronger or a different strand that could make yours worse. So with that said, now do you decide to stop right there, or do you decide to use a condom? But that's a different subject, because we're actually talking about when is the right time to divulge your information. Again, I've met people that I've talked to online, and I'll tell them, "Hey, I'm positive." I think there was only one time, this is like way in the beginning. I drove all the way by SeaWorld, told the kid, "Hey, I'm positive," and all of a sudden he's just like, "I don't know that much about it. I'm trying to educate him." And again, I think he was like 24. He was all into me. We were talking, we were chatting it up. And it wasn't that he wasn't into me. It's that once I told him I was positive, then there was a problem. So, we go with, them, San Antonio not really educating the youth, which I would assume that youth would be more educated, because there should be more advance of what's going on in life versus some of the older people that are in their 50s or something. They'll be more like, "Oh, no. It just varies with different people. Some was like okay with it. Some was like, "I don't know nothing about it." How can you not know nothing about it, and you're 35, you're 45, you've been in the gay scene for such a long time that you don't know what the difference between undetectable and detectable, So again, please ask us more questions, because we're here to talk about it.
To me, I just feel that you really should tell us. And we could jump into another.
I have a quick question for you though, Mark.
Go ahead.
Because you're one of the people kind of like me that divulges almost instantly. Well, maybe not instantly, but now, do you do it in person, or do you divulge that even when you're talking to somebody?
If I meet someone in person, I do it in person. Okay. If I meet someone online, it's going to be online.
I ask that because I don't divulge that online. Probably don't divulge it online because all of my profiles have that in it, that I am HIV undetectable. But when I actually meet somebody face to face, then I will tell them, unless they ask during a online conversation. Otherwise, I always wait till I'm face to face with them. I don't know why. It's just something that I do.
And I agree with you. We went to a conference 3 years ago. Yeah. Good 3 years ago, and that was one of the topics about divulging information, and telling people, and them being liable for it. Saying, like you said, I don't want my stuff online, or I don't want to put it on there because then it's going to go viral and other people, so I like putting it. Sorry, I just got to go. When you put it online, now they have proof, but that's proof for yourself too. It's like, I did tell this person.
But the thing is, I do
not
yes.
to remember, or he says, I never told him, no, I text you, actually I text you 2 times, are you gonna be okay with it? You know,
That's why I put it in my profile. It's like, I want to see if somebody's actually reading my profile. You know, it's like, are you just saying, oh, I like the way this guy looks. It's like, before I hit somebody up online, I read their profile.
you like the way your hair flows.
Yeah, the way my hair is.
Feathers back.
So you see, a lot of people on their profile is not going to say.
Yeah,
I know more.
but that's why I put mine in there.
I know a lot of people on Grindr, Growler, and here we go to one of these apps that do not say they're positive. And I know a few of them, there were more than a few, that say they're negative when I know
No,
they're
for a fact,
positive.
they're positive, yeah.
We do have conversations about that, and the reason some of them say they're negative is because they don't get laid. This is the only way they don't get laid. And people that don't put that they're positive on those apps, most of them is because people are not going to hit on them or tag them or talk to them because they're positive.
Well, I'm going to disagree with that. Maybe not put it on there. Again, that should not be the first thing. You know, I mean, I'm going with that as well.
It would be a good.
But
It's not the
but it
first
is.
thing.
No,
No, it's
you're
not.
okay. When you're looking at a guy, you get on Grindr like, yo, this motherfucker hot. You're going through like, oh, he's positive. So like, nah, I'm good. He didn't even get to know me.
You know,
All you saw,
But you gave him the option to get to know you're not because your status was up there. People do it because they know they're not going to get hit on. There's a lot of people in San Antonio who will not sleep with someone who's.
But there's a lot of people that will tell you.
Yeah.
Once you're,
There's
And
a
you
lot
know,
of
and
people-
there's-
there's a lot of people who will sleep with you because you're positive because they're positive. But
There's also a lot of people that are positive that will not sleep with
but
you.
there's a lot of people
because
that will
you're
stick
positive.
you because you are positive.
yeah,
And that's the conversation is a lot of people will stick you because they want to be positive as well because they assume this is back in the 80s that mentality that if they become positive they're going to be able to get all this financial aid, get their rent paid and everything, and that's why there's what is it, a pause party
Yeah.
that they have going on because if you're positive, oh cool, they're gonna hit you up, they want to hook up with you, and then they want you to have sex with them raw, so they can be positive. Not knowing, yo, you don't get shiced. Again, in the 80s, yo, you got covered. Your rent got covered. You got some money. Yo, you were fine. Your utilities were paid. But nowadays, it's like you're positive, and what? You're securable.
yeah.
So, you know, again, we're about to run out of time, it looks like. But, again, this is just a topic that we want to talk about and try to get a rise out of y'all.
That we've had a rise amongst ourselves.
And they got a rise amongst, well, not that kind of rise.
Well, no, but we
no,
argued
this is a
3
topic
hours the other night.
that we want to talk about and see what your answers or your questions are.
Matter of
If you
fact,
have any questions.
even tonight after we go off, if you have questions, send those to us. 'cause
Exactly.
we will answer them.
You know, if you have more questions or you still want to argue about this, hey, hit me up, hit Mark up. Yo, we got all day.
Yeah.
We could chat it up all day.
So
But you know, we have other topics we want to talk about. But if there's topics that you want to talk about, then again, put it in an email or text it to us, and we'll go from there. You know, again, we'll do what we did today.
Come
We'll
on.
do the pros and cons. It's like we'll argue about it. One topic that was brought up was about dating. Was it Joe Avila or something Avalas?
yeah,
What was it about? What was the question?
it was dating with HIV or dating during COVID. We actually were going to have somebody here tonight to speak about dating during
Yeah.
COVID,
They
but
got
they
stuck
couldn't
in the
make
traffic. In a
it.
wreck.
Well, they actually had to work late, so we'll try to bring that to you next week or the week after.
Yeah, we'll try to bring that up. You know, something that I brought.
I mean,
to you
it's
guys.
because dating, whether you're HIV positive or not, dating in the gay world is difficult. Period. Especially the older you get, and that may be one of the reasons why I'm not quote in the dating scene because I know how hard it is, and you get tired of that trying to impress somebody to date them. You know, at a certain point. So, yeah, dating is a difficult thing. Actually, I don't care if you're gay, straight, or somewhere in between. It's a very, very difficult world to be in dating. And dating during the pandemic makes it even worse. I will mention that at some point in time, we probably are going to have a mental health professional come and speak with us. Either actually come here or we're going to do it remotely. I might be thinking of questions for that person. Hopefully we can have them in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, again, this is something that you need to ask yourself. What is right and what's wrong? Do you divulge your information at the beginning?
I think to me, truthfully, it all comes down to comfort level.
Right. Do you feel?
I mean, Mark feels comfortable telling them right off the bat. I feel comfortable telling the person face to face. That's for me, unless they bring it up in the online conversation.
Right. At the end of the day,
in the end, it is. It's a comfort thing.
At the end of the day, it's
when
a
you think
comfort
they need
thing,
help.
but at the end of the day, you know what the repercussions are at the end.
Yeah.
You know, because
What
would be if he becomes positive or she becomes positive. Again, because we're talking to straight people too, that's going to fall back on you, especially since you said you weren't detectable, but you are detectable. That's
And
where
that's
where
where getting your labs are very important.
because you're detectable still. Now, if you're undetectable, there's no reason for it to be falling back on you, because if you've been taking your medication from day one like you're supposed to and not missing medication, how is that person going to be detected? I mean, how's they're going to be positive when you've been good? Your numbers are good. Your doctor says you're good. You're undetectable. So what's your words right there? So again, we have more topics to talk about. I brought up.
And so you said, I wonder how many people do not divulge their HIV status because they are undetectable and they know they're untransmittable, so they don't feel like they need to.
Guys, if you have any kind of topics that you want us to discuss, send me a text, call me, put it on Facebook, and we'll get through it. Get to it, I should say. I know one of you guys wanted to be a guest and talk about a topic. We discussed it, and you at the last minute are still thinking about it. You're the one who brought it up, but it's all good. But if anybody out there who wants to be a guest and talk about a topic of one of us, you're free to do it. We only allow one guest at a time. And if you want to be a guest, just let me know and we'll work something out. And whoever you want to discuss it with, let us know and we'll work that out too. So
Yeah, actually, I did have somebody ask me the other day. It doesn't have anything to do with the topic, but they want to know when we might be meeting back in person. I told them probably going to be after the first of the year at the very earliest.
I agree. I think we should wait till the year.
I think we should wait till the end of the year, but I'm allowed to bring 10 people in the building. That's 5 of us now. That means there'll be only 5 of you guys. And the problem becomes is which 5? I don't want to upset anybody because I don't want to do it that way.
And it's better not to do it that way because we don't want to hear later on there's favoritism. Oh, you had those 5 come in because they're your friends or whatever the case may be. It's like, no, they were just the first ones to get here or the first ones that hit us up, you know. Because me and Mark did talk about doing like first come, first serve, like hit us up. The first 5 people that hit us up online, those would be the first ones. But if those are the first ones every week, then it's not fair. It's fair, but not fair. Fair because they were actually online listening to us at the time when they submitted their names. But if it's the same people all the time, other than us, because you know we are the show. You're supposed to laugh. But then it's going to create a problem, and then people are going to start complaining about this and that. People always have something to complain about. So again, it's going back to the topics. We need more topics to talk about. That way we do the research. One of the topics that I just brought up to the guys today was expectations. What is your expectations on the person you're talking to. What do you expect from them? And what do you have to offer them? And just to make this really quick, my expectations when I date somebody is 3 things. Have your own car, because I'm not your Uber driver. Have your own house. Don't be living with your mom, where I gotta go pick you up. And have your own money. I'm not your sugar daddy. I'm not gonna pay for everything you got. Now, there's exceptions. You just lost a job because of COVID. I got you. But you're getting employment, so you have some kind of money coming in. You live with your mom. If you're with your mom or your dad or your grandparents and you're helping them out, I understand. I commend you for that. That's an exception. You don't have a car because you lost it. Maybe you lost it because of your DUI, or maybe you lost it because you just can't drive for whatever reason. Maybe it's a medical reason, but you're willing to take the bus or you're willing to take an Uber. Now, that's an exception. But when you're too lazy to do something, you don't want to work, but you have enough money to go smoke weed, or you just don't want to leave your parents' house because they take care of you, or you're used to guys picking you up because you that cute for San Antonio, then that's a problem. But again, that's a topic that we could talk more in depth next week. Again, give us more topics that we could talk about. You know, how we feel about Fiesta, that we didn't get to do Fiesta. Halloween's coming up. Are the kids going to be able to trick and treat?
The kids?
Kids.
I'm worried about me.
Wayne is worried about him trick or treating. But, you know, Day of the Dead, one of the biggest events in San Antonio at La Vita, is that still going to happen? You know, life has changed for all of us in the past couple months, and we got to figure out what is next. I want to see all of y'all soon, but at the same time, we can't put ourselves in predicament again. You know, August, September are the worst months as far as flu season.
And we have to remember that we have been warned that there might be a resurgence in the fall of COVID. So
Right.
we need to be
And
safe.
that's what I'm going with. You know, it's
And
good-
by the way, get your flu shot if you haven't got your flu shot.
Exactly. If you're able to go get a free flu shot, go get it. Go get it as soon as possible. But with that said, as I was saying, you know, it's going to get worse again. You know, they said it was going to happen the first time, and the second time there's going to be a third. We have to be ready. As much as I want all of us to get back to where it was 30, 40, 50 people at one time when we were here, right now we're more concerned about your safety and our safety as well. Because a lot of us cannot afford to go back to the hospital, cannot afford just to have COVID-19 again. You know, there were a few members that got it. There were a few members that were outside that rarely came in, but they still got it as well. And not from here, maybe from other places. You know, we've seen family members or friends of family members pass away. So we do this because we do care. And that's why we also go live, because we care, we miss y'all. And since we can't see you, we can at least read your comments and see some of your happy faces. Or at least some of y'all. Not all of y'all, but some of y'all. I'm just kidding. I miss you, Mary Helen. But I don't know what else we could say. It's 8:03. We did our hour. Again, hit us up. Mark?
I think that's it for tonight. If you have any comments, post them, still post them all. If you have any topics, let us know. I'm here, Santiago's here, Jace is here, Wayne's here, and Leo's here. Be free to hit us up. The topics don't always have to be about HIV. They could be about anything. Okay.
I should have done the
I made it all
camera. I didn't even think about it.
Oh, you want me to do it again?
No, okay.
I'm y'all already on the husband hunt. I ain't scared now.
You know what? And I'm sorry. I don't mean to be going in a tangent, but there were a couple of topics I did send to them. You know, there was a guy from TikTok, well known, that was gay, and he got murdered. You know, other topics like that. I don't know why she's passing by, but you know, there was also transgender that just got murdered a couple of weeks ago too. You know, if you see I'm gonna call it a hot topic. If there's something that you want us to talk about, and do a little research on
In fact,
it.
we may discuss the transgender thing.
Next week we'll talk more in depth about the transgender
And maybe even gay one.
that was murdered.
Because gay hate and transgender hate is out there.
You know,
people.
We need to
Black transgender females.
watch ourselves, make sure that nothing happens to us. You know, again, the buddy system.
Yeah.
You know, but that's it. We are out.
Just a quick reminder, because we did this last week, and I want to remind people: go vote in November. If you're not sure if you're registered to vote, go to vote.org or go to the Bexar County Elections Department. And if you're not, go register, because I think you have until the end of September to get registered for the November elections. So make sure you vote.
Please go vote. Even if you vote for the person I don't like, go vote. So that's it. So we are done. Thank you for joining in. Share this link with everybody. Share it with other people. We want to get more people. You know, right now we got 12. I think we had like 20 earlier, but I could be lying. We have 74 comments, I'm sorry. So please share this link with friends, and y'all have a good night.
Good night, guys.
Good night.